Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sustainable Materials Management webinar series, a joint effort between the National Recycling Coalition and the Pennsylvania Recycling Market Center. My name is Wayne Bowen. I'm the program manager for the Recycling Market Center and will serve as your moderator today. Today, we have Jason Pelz, Mark Bond, and John Rayman, who will be talking about carton recycling, and I will introduce them in a moment. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so if you have questions or comments, you can use the Q&A feature located on your control panel on your screen. Please note that an edited version of this webinar will be made available for viewing via YouTube links on both the National Recycling Coalition and the Pennsylvania Recycling Market Center websites. And also please note that the Pennsylvania Recycling Market Center, its affiliates, funders, and the National Recycling Coalition assume no liability resulting from the use of any information provided during the webinar. The webinar is only provided as an informational tool and no discrimination is intended, no endorsement by these organizations is implied. Our first presenter up is Jason Pelz, who's the Vice President of Sustainability for Tetra Pak in the Americas. Jason and his team work with a range of stakeholders across various geographies to advance Tetra Pak's global sustainability ambitions, including growing recycling and collection of post-consumer cartons and reducing climate impact across the value chain. Jason also serves as the Vice President of Recycling Projects for the Carton Council of North America, where he works with food and beverage brand owners, local municipalities and communities, and other third parties such as recyclers and paper mills to increase the availability of carton recycling in the US and Canada. Jason joined Tetra Pak in 2012 from Waste Management, where he served as Director for Global Export Sales and directed global export strategy for Waste Management's secondary fiber and waste plastics. Jason also served as Senior Account Manager for the Pelz Group, a privately owned paper recycling company, which was acquired by Waste Management. He's an expert in the recycling and paper mill industry, including export markets such as China and Southeast Asia. And Jason attended the University of California at Los Angeles and earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Spanish. So Jason, you're up.
Thanks, Wayne. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to walk you through, some of you may have been on this years ago when I did a presentation, and I just want to bring an update to what we're doing at Carton Council to further our mission. So Wayne, to the next slide, please. So Carton Council is composed of the leading carton manufacturers. All are converters. The only one that is not just a converter, also has paper mills, is Evergreen Packaging, but the group was put together in order to take cartons and put them into the recycling value chain and remove them from landfill to drive recycling of the material. So when we're talking about food and beverage cartons, this just gives a little bit of an overview. We're talking about traditional gable top cartons where you had milk or juice, egg products. We're also talking about aseptic cartons, which can also handle milk or juice, but also could handle wine or could have soup and broth in it, or the traditional juice box. And just to give a little bit of an explanation, when we talk about the gable top carton is what we normally see in a refrigerated section of a grocery store. You have a layer of fiber, and then you have 2 layers of polyethylene. And what makes that different from an aseptic carton, and again, these are the 2 cartons that we're talking about, is that in the case of an aseptic carton, you also have a very, very thin layer of aluminum, which is added into the carton between 2 layers of polymer, which allows for the light, odor, and oxygen projection, which allows them to be kept shelf stable for up to 6 months, really before opening. And we do not have any wax on these cartons. Wax hasn't been on these cartons for many, many years. So when it is referred to that, that's not true. When we talk about the Carton Council and we talk about what we're driving, what we're not talking about are some of the other cartons you see here. And many times we're asked questions about these other type of food packaging containers. We're really focused on, as I said, food and beverage cartons, not frozen food boxes or ice cream containers. Though we have had discussions with those groups, and if there are opportunities to work on projects, it would be something we would look into. But at this point, we are primarily focused on food and beverage cartons. So the Carton Council has a strategy. And again, the ultimate goal is to increase the carton recycling rate and decrease the amount of cartons going into landfill and becoming litter. So we have 2 primary focuses: expanding access and increasing participation, really, which are what our objectives are. How we do that, though, is through a bunch of different stakeholders. We work with, we get involved in legislation. We work with schools. We get our brands and other companies involved. We work to educate consumers. We work with the municipalities and with the MRFs to help them better able to accept and sort cartons. And then finally, we also work with the end markets to make sure that there is solid end markets for the material once it's captured, sorted, and baled for it to be sent on for recycling. And basically, this is to take everything I just said, this is how we interact. So we engage again with public officials and state recycling organizations, the MRFs and the recycling coordinators, because really this won't work unless we do this collaboratively around this group of stakeholders. So when we put the Carton Council together back in 2009, this is where things stood. There was one recycler in North America for cartons. About 18% of households had access, and we had a very low recycling rate of about 6%. As of 2020, we're happy to say that we've made a lot of progress. We're not done yet, but we continue to work to grow, but again, progress has been made. Presently, as of 2020, our household access is 61%. We have a carton recycling rate of about 20%. There are now 7 recyclers in North America, and we hope that that will continue to grow, and I'll talk about that later. We continue to work with schools, and schools are highlighted here because we see schools as a great way, not just to secure cartons because they're a high generation point of cartons, but also it's a place where you can use that platform to educate students who can in turn educate their families and really set the right actions going forward on how to recycle. We also have targets. We would like to get our access up to 75% by 2025. We also want to get our recycling rate to at least 25% by 2025. Again, it takes work. I said earlier that we're not done. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We've been working for 10 years, and we're going to continue to work for many more years as we try to drive this as we go forward. So when you look at the recycling process for cartons, again, I mentioned all the different players, but you have the consumer putting their material in the bin, the collection of the material, the ability to sort in a grade 52, the connection with either the end market or with a broker that would connect then to the end market, and then really the 2 recycling solutions. And one of them being at a traditional paper mill where the fiber is pulped out of the carton and captured for paper uses, and the residual can be sent on for further recycling, or at a full carton manufacturer where the cartons are actually shredded and converted into building products. So as part of our mission and how we engage, when it comes to working with the MRFs, we still do offer grant opportunities for equipment to sort cartons. We also offer technical resources. We have a lot of interaction with many MRFs and have learned many things over the years. And again, we don't look at one solution as the only solution. We've had success with manual sorting at certain MRFs. We've had success with robots and with opticals. And really, it's just a matter of what works best for the MRF, and then how can we help. But again, the goal is to get to that grade 52, that sorted carton bale. I mentioned earlier about the 2 paths of how cartons are best recycled. And again, the idea behind this is not just the fiber can bring value from the cartons, but also the poly and polyaluminum piece. So as I show on that slide, you saw the 2 paths. Pulping, and Mark, I'm sure we'll be able to talk about that, is really just a huge blender that will then separate the pulp from the poly and the polyaluminum. The polyaluminum, as I mentioned, has the ability to go in other products, and this is something we're focusing on in this country. The pulp typically is going into tissue and toweling products or printing and writing papers. And then on the whole carton, you have the opportunity to be able to put it into building materials. So when I was talking earlier about the end markets and how we're working, the picture on the state and even the picture of the country and even going into Canada and Mexico continues to grow. We now have 6 active recyclers in the US and Canada. We have 2 in Mexico that regularly buy from the United States. We also have export opportunities, but we continue to work on growing that infrastructure within the US. You'll see some green stars. These are people we're having discussions with where there are opportunities to not just grow, but to really establish a pretty substantial opportunity for cartons to be able to be recycled. Our most recent recycler added to the list is the Kelly Green Products facility. They are slowly getting going. They've had some startup issues, but they are making progress. Prior to that was the Sustana facility in Lévis, Quebec, which Mark can talk about as well, which came on early last year. But again, we've seen good progress in our work with these folks to grow the ability to recycle cartons. And again, the opportunity is for the carton to be made into tissue and toweling paper or into building products. And you see two examples here, but on the left, that's what the stuff looks like once it's been shredded and pressed together. So this video that Wayne will show kind of takes the whole thing and puts it together. So take a look and listen.
Food and beverage cartons, which are used to package things like milk, juice, soup, water, and even wine, contain some of the highest quality fibers that can be found in the recycling stream. Unfortunately, if cartons are sent to landfills, they will never have a future. At MRFs, facilities get the most value by sorting cartons by themselves into grade 52 bales. When recycled, cartons can find new life in new paper products or eco-friendly building materials. Cartons are recyclable. It's just a matter of ensuring they're put into the recycling bin, collected, and sorted at MRFs. Sorting is made possible through the use of optical sorters, human sorting, or even robots powered by artificial intelligence. Once sorted, grade 52 carton bales will head to one of two end markets. The first market option is a paper mill, where cartons are put into a hydropulper, which is essentially a giant blender. The pulp is separated out and goes on to make new paper products. The second option is at a manufacturing facility where cartons become green construction materials. Through a process that uses no water or chemicals, cartons are shredded, pressed, and cut into durable boards that are used for roofing, wallboard, and other eco-friendly building materials. Cartons contain high-quality, valuable materials that are in demand and should be recycled. End markets exist in North America and overseas. Show your commitment to recycling by keeping valuable materials like cartons in the recycling stream and out of the landfills.
So to wrap up where we get engaged, then this comes down to the point about helping with outreach, and Carton Council has developed a toolkit to assist with this, and it allows communities or other organizations to, again, find opportunities to be able to share if they're beginning to add cartons to their stream, or if they want to find any other information regarding the recycling of cartons. So this kind of wraps up how we engage with the whole value chain. So if you have any questions or ever want to check into it, please take a look at our websites. And Wayne, thanks for driving. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Great presentation. So we're getting some questions already, but we're going to hold off at the end till the end, till the last presenter shows the slides, and then we'll do the Q&A session. So please bear with us. So next up is Mark Bond. Mark is the recycled fiber sales managers at Sustana, a leading producer of FSC certified premium post-consumer recycled fiber, which takes its role as a steward of the environment seriously. Sustana uses highly automated proprietary processes to turn post-consumer waste paper into the highest quality fiber for use in the production of printing and writing papers, tissue paper, form molded fiber packaging, and in addition, fiber that is compliant with FDA standards for food service packaging. Mark graduated from Penn State and has held sales and marketing roles in the paper industry. Mark joined Sustana in the early 2017 and achieved a consistent growth in sales for North America. Again, he has a BS of Science from Penn State in Administration and Management. So Mark, you're up.
So again, thank you everybody for being here. My name is Mark Bond. I'm with Sustana Fiber and honored to speak to the group today. And thank you for the group for putting this together, and special thanks to Pennsylvania Recycling Market Center and NRC, and of course our friends at Carton Council. I know some of you may have seen us before, but we do have some updates, and we're always looking for more and new fibers to recycle. Also, please note my contacts are available at the end of the file, and the file is available to the whole group. Also, I'll direct you at the end of the presentation to a new 4-minute video. It's a virtual tour of our De Pere facility, and you can review and watch that at any time. Quick company overview. So do some highlights to what is going on in recycling and some consumer sentiment, which I think might be of interest to you and what hopefully you're seeing in your marketplaces. Who we are at Sustana and where we're at. Some very basic product information from our side, where these fibers go to that are recreated, and a couple of sustainability and life cycle assessment highlights. I look at this picture and I always say the great quote, let's recycle today for a better tomorrow. We have to do a better job in recycling plastics and fiber materials. Interesting graph here, and I think you're going to see some of this continuing more and more through your marketplaces and through your businesses, is that this graph shows that you have 80 to 85 and almost 80% Gen Z to Gen Xers, 8 out of 10 are demanding more recycling, more recyclable materials, and more materials with recycled product that they buy their products in. Again, for the entire audience, I fully understand the challenges of recycling, but I see a lot of track on this with these younger generations coming through and demanding these kinds of materials that you produce to come back into the stream and not into the ground. There is a very interesting McKinsey study that was just put out, I believe on the 16th or 18th. If anybody would like a copy of it, just hit me up later on. But it's a very interesting 6-page document of more of this type of information where your consumers, your residents, etc. The recycling effort is growing and getting bigger. Sustana fiber, it's easily stated, makes the best recycled fiber in North America by a great group of team members. Our facilities, we have 2. Our first and larger, startup 1992, 150,000 tons of finished product per year out of De Pere, Wisconsin, which is 7 minutes from Green Bay Packer Stadium. Always an interesting place to be prior to Mr. Rogers finally signing his contract. Anyway, our second facility, Breakyville Fiber in Levis, Quebec. That's about 10 minutes outside of Quebec City. Smaller facility, slightly 93,000 tons of output a year. So approximately together 250,000 tons per year of recycled pulp, 100% FSC certified, that is sent throughout North America, paper mills, converters, etc. For a map of our 2 facilities, and I'd just like to highlight to you for, primarily where our feedstocks come from, and I'll highlight where Pennsylvania can be in line with this. If you go to our Fox River Fiber facility in De Pere, and you would take a line probably from western Minnesota down to Iowa, across to Kentucky, up through the great state of West Virginia, and through one of my favorite places, western Pennsylvania, the city of Pittsburgh, central Pennsylvania, of course. That's where our feedstocks primarily come into our Fox River Fiber facility. Our second facility in Breakyville, that pulls fiber from the I-20 corridor in Canada, and then it will dip down into the Northeast on 81, etc., and we'll head down into the Mid-Atlantic and pull fiber again from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and up. Again, this is all fiber, 100% recycled, reused, time and time again for new products. Some basic product information. We make 3 primary products out of our fiber: printing and writing type products, FDA food grade packaging, both lightweight to heavyweight. So everywhere from Subway wraps, sub wraps, all the way to coffee cups, you'll find our fiber being made into new materials. One of most notably, if you remember, the 10% of recycled fiber in Starbucks cups would be Sustana fiber. And our last, we make into tissue and paper towel fiber. The split of the business is about 20% printing and writing, 40% packaging, and 40% tissue. What's interesting, and I'll highlight again shortly, is about 4 years ago, our packaging, where our packaging fiber amount was going to, is about 1% of our output. Today, it's about 40% of our output, how we're trying to make sure we stay healthy and vital for a long time to come, all the while trying to find new fibers to recycle. We'll go from left to right here. How are we influencing the supply chain and what we can get? So on the left, you'll see a lot of different products that we can make into new fibers on the right. Let me highlight 4 of the major ones. The first, of course, being SOP, sorted office waste 37 bales, still is our primary material, but the next 2 have increased greatly, and increased greatly with the help of Carton Council. Poly one-sided materials and aseptic and gable top packaging, or the 52 bale. Give you 2 examples there. At our Fox River facility, we probably ran 50 to 100 tons maybe of this a month 4 years ago. Now up to 6 to 10% of our output is made with the 52 bale. So we need more 52 bales, not less 52 bales, just for your notes. The next thing, and also just to really highlight something, an amazing situation, our Breakyville fiber facility 4 years ago maybe ran 1 ton of the 52 bale a day, 1 ton. Today, this year, next year, with the help of Carton Council Canada, Carton Council North America, that facility, which was said to me at one point, will never run more than 1 ton of aseptic 52 bales, is now going to probably run 3,000 tons this year, and even more next year. It is an amazing, amazing, amazing story of how to renew fiber into new products. Our 4th and our newest entrant, and one I'd like you all to take a note on, is we are now the premier recycler of release liner, silicone release liner, label stock, etc. So if you have e-commerce distribution centers anywhere near your facilities, please take note. We can recycle that product. Again, in the DC center situations, there can be processes put in place, and we can get that product back to us, and again, collect it and get it back to us to recycle anew. It has really been an amazing story. Very quickly, our line of products are under the Enviro name: Enviro Bright, printing and writing; Enviro Touch for tissue and paper towel applications; Enviro Life for our food packaging grades; and our other grade is Enviro Bond. When the fiber can't survive our screening systems, it's put into agricultural use products. An amazing story: used to go to landfill, now all is used in other products or situations. Sustainability wise, what does our fiber do when we're producing, recreating these fibers and recycling? we're saving, we're processing 1,100 tons a day at our facilities, which is saving landfill space and about 4 million trees a year. We need the virgin forest to recreate paper, but we want to recreate paper and paper products every day. Sorry, quickly said, life cycle assessment. We do all things right all the time. We're life cycle assessment to our facilities, are peer reviewed and third party audited. A couple of pictures of our facilities. And thank you very much. And last but not least, just wanted to point out before, there's my contacts. The file will be available to everybody. The Starbucks YouTube video is always there to review. And then also a virtual tour of our De Pere facility. We have just produced that video and put it out about a month ago. I think it's really good. It shows you the process from beginning to end in 4 minutes. And you might want to take a look at it if you have a chance. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Next up, we have Jan Rayman, who's the CEO of Upcycling Technologies and Upcycling Group, and founder and former CEO of the Rewall Company, an award-winning manufacturer of healthy, high-performance building materials from upcycled beverage cartons. A visionary and serial entrepreneur, Jan led the development of the Rewall technology and commercialization of several green building projects or products with superior properties that showcase construction industry as a viable end market for the discarded poly-coated packaging. Serving on the founding advisory board of the Upcyclers Network and supporting carton recycling efforts around the world, Jan now aims to provide state-of-the-art circular economy solutions that create new green jobs, relieve local landfills, and build strong domestic and end markets for all types of recyclables and municipal waste streams. Okay, Jan.
Thank you, Wayne. Thanks for the introduction and thanks for the invitation. Having been building end markets for the cartons and their components for the past 13 years, it's a pleasure to be here to chip in this conversation and tell you a little bit more about these alternatives, the alternative end market solutions for these awesome materials. And generally speaking, we turn them into, like I said, building materials, healthy, high performance building materials. The solutions were developed for full cartons, and as well as the polyol rejects. They also happen to work for other poly-coated paper products like coffee and soda cups. They work for flexible films and their components, and they also have very good potential for mixed paper and mixed plastics, even though those products have not been fully commercialized. I believe that they will be quite soon. The processes themselves, they rely on physics, not chemistry. So that's what allows them to stay away from water, stay away from glues and chemicals. And they're also scalable for both small and large markets. So really cool way to make these building products, which actually borrow the properties of this high performance package. They are very moisture mold resistant, they're durable. They're very healthy, no VOC emissions, very low carbon footprint. So to give you a better idea what to imagine when you look around yourself, whether it's inside or outside buildings, it's the sidewalks. It's very basic building materials. The boards that replace either the gypsum or cement boards, the traditional products out there, or the wood-based products, the plywoods and OSBs. They could look really cool. You see the interior applications, but I think what the coolest thing is about these products is that they do perform either the same or better, and they cost the same or less than the traditional products that they replace. And so these are material solutions, and they upcycle high performance packaging into recyclable high performance building materials. So you take something that would need to be either downcycled or hopefully not thrown away, but if you take it up and you actually turn it into material, into building material that can be recycled again, that's when you start creating the circular solution. And in the perfect world, these materials would be made from locally collected waste, and they would also happen to be locally distributed. I mean, this is something that's happening today already. We would like to see it on a much larger scale. And the scale is another thing that I like to talk about, because if you're talking about really solving any problems, I think that those solutions need to be scalable, like I said, both up and down, but they have to have that massive impact and potential to solve 100% of the problem. Otherwise, we're really kind of wasting our time, I think. The lack of end markets is the biggest problem. That's the core of the crisis that we now call, the recycling crisis, not just in the States, but around the world. And I do think that building materials and construction industry in general is actually one of the most promising homes for a majority of our waste. When you look at the just the sheer volume of the daily waste production, there probably isn't another material industry that has that potential to absorb these volumes. So on a side note, I don't think that we will ever be able to process 100% of our waste materially, but probably some kind of waste to energy solution will have to be part of the solution. We can discuss about that. But if you're looking for a place for a lot of this high performance material that's being designed by very, very smart people, a lot of money has been invested into developing these packages. Let's use those IQ points and those billions of dollars of investment for R&D that went into these packages and use it in another application that can take advantage of these properties. Yeah, this is where I kind of like to share a little bit of that pain, working on the end markets. It's almost part of my therapy here for 13 years. It's not an easy process. When the cartons are finally collected, they're sorted, they're baled, and they're shipped to a facility that can process them. That process, that recycling process ends for most of you guys listening right now. But for the end market, that's the beginning of the process. And to work on all these parts of it, developing products, the processes, the equipment, finding the right applications for those products, building the customer base, actually building a real functional, survivable, sustainable business, and then actually scale it up. I mean, that's no easy task. That's why I always like to say that building functional end markets is where entrepreneurial journey meets the systematic changes on the industry level, ideally at national scale. It has to be implemented in collaboration with the industry, with all the stakeholders, because you need to develop the collection infrastructure. Some work that Carton Council has done so well. I actually use their example around the world. I have projects on 4 different continents, and I always bring up the way that we've been able to work with Carton Council on the carton cause, if you will. Working together, talking to the MRFs, talking to the cities, showing them that there is a way to give a second life to these packages, and actually we work together and we can make it work, create this blueprint for other materials as well. That's how we would like to close the carton loop. The future that I'm working on, we're not there yet, even though we've been doing every part that I'm mentioning here, we've done before. We want to see it every day. We want to see the facilities of carton makers and the fillers, which are the brands, and the sellers, or the retailers and wholesalers, and all these other large building owners. I mean, all these companies, international companies, they own a lot of different buildings, office buildings, distribution centers, retail stores. Those can be built from the very material that they actually either make, fill, or sell. We can see schools being built from kids' cartons, and we can build entire communities from all the ways that we can extract from the everyday waste stream. I mean, that's kind of the definition of circular economy, if you ask me. I mean, this is something that's very much doable. It should be understandable. It should be implemented everywhere we go. And this is, again, something that I'm hoping to see on a very large scale today. However, we've started the journey. It's just the beginning, but we do have about 20,000 ton a year capacity installed already in the US. And the projects that I've been involved with or working on through third parties, we see plans for another 3 facilities with the joint capacity of about 24,000 tons a year that should be coming up in the next 3 years. So that's kind of where we are today. I thank you for your attention, and of course I'm available for your questions. So Wayne, take it home.
Thank you, Jan. And I'm just curious, I didn't ask you, where is your base of operations? Are you in Europe?
Yes, currently I'm in Europe. I spent 15 years in the States. I still go there in 2 weeks. But yeah, Europe, not just because of COVID, but because of the interest in all kinds of solutions that we're working on. It's my base right now.
Yeah. What country?
Czech Republic, right in the middle.
Excellent. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay, we're now going to field some questions from the audience. But before I do that, I want to thank someone. Chris Carr from RRS has been a great help in putting this panel together. So I just want to acknowledge that she really helped us out to get this thing together. So I really appreciate it, Chris. I think she's on right now, but we really appreciate it. So we do have some questions already in the queue here. So, but if you do have a question or comment, please use the Q&A feature on your computer. So the first one, and some of these questions might have been addressed during the presentation, so I apologize if there's any repetition here. So this one says, stakeholders, what about working with the pulp mills? That is why the Northwest and our recycling coordinators are putting cartons on the no list. The pulp mills say they can't separate the paper from the plastic, and they end up with piles of cartons as industrial waste.
I can take that. We're aware of what's going on in the Pacific Northwest. We have actually been in discussions with some pulp mills and with some additional opportunities as well. As some of the technology changes, actually, I think the inability to separate is becoming less. We are actually hearing from some folks who, when the cartons do go in the mixed paper, which again, we're not advocating for, we don't think that's the best thing, but when they do, they're able to absolutely defiber them. So we will continue to work with them, and hopefully that will begin to change and we'll see things go the other way.
Okay. How does the Carton Council measure access to recycling?
I'll take that one too. We actually have a pretty robust process through a third-party consultant. There is regular monthly checks on the community access information within community sites. So meaning like if there is if there's been a formal announcement, if there is a website that the facility has or that the local community has, and then that is tracked on a monthly basis. We review. I don't remember the exact number, but it's a lot of the communities each month. And then over the year, we've reviewed almost all of them to continue to check. And that's how access is. It's basically when an official announcement by community is there that says that they accept cartons, they're considered to have access. If not, we don't acknowledge it.
Okay. Should pulp mills be able to handle the poly-coated white fiber? When pulped, the carton's poly floats, fiber sinks, and so the poly is skimmed off, like at the end of our end market in northern Michigan for cartons, and that becomes their byproduct. Sorry for the grammar there.
No problem. Wayne, I can take that. Lindsay, I think you have a couple of questions which are great. Yes, in our system, ours is a system of separation, meaning separation with the use of a lot of water and energy to separate fiber from poly-coated materials, aluminum, etc. And yes, it's skimmed off. That would be, at this point in time, the only area, at least for our facilities, again, I speak for our facilities, which is running a good deal of 52 carton bales, that is not, we haven't found a home for. And I just want to be as clear as I can be with everybody here. It is not for a lack of trying. So where that byproduct can go and be used, otherwise energy sources and concrete materials and wall buildings, it's boards, etc. We are never ending trying to find where those residues go. But I think we've come a long way, again, in 4 years with our 2 facilities where these were a bit of an afterthought 4 years ago to, I would say, major tonnage levels that we're using at least in our 2 facilities. I hope that answers somewhat. Please connect with me if you want to. I'm more than happy to go through a deep dive on all of these.
Okay, thank you. There's a comment on the map. I think it says the Great Lakes tissue is in Sheboygan, Michigan, at the tip of the mitten on the Lake Huron side, not Detroit as the map shows.
No, we're clear on that. And in fact, we know exactly where it is, but I think in all the reformatting, it keeps moving stuff around. So I do apologize. We'll keep track of that, make sure we're careful the next time.
Yeah, sometimes on various computers, the maps are shown differently. So, yeah. Do you have any list of the MRFs that accept cartons for the recycling efforts?
What I would say is the easiest thing to do, there are lists, but some of them can and can't be shared simply because there are NDAs with some of those groups based on if there were grants given. But if you go to recycledcartons.com, you're able to type in your zip code, and through that you can find out if their local MRF has it, and then you should be able to deduce it from there.
Okay. This is a question and comments. There's no distinction between gable top and aseptic containers in the last video. What mills in the US currently accept aseptic and are capable of dealing with the aluminum liner? I understand that Vancouver, British Columbia is sending theirs to Asia because we're lacking a West Coast facility. Is there a plan to support new capacity here?
Well, the 2 guys on the call with me can handle both aseptic and gable top, and we actually promote it to be both aseptic and gable top. We don't promote cartons to be collected separately. Now, I do realize that in Canada, there are some places with deposit jurisdictions where some, based on the product inside, might have a higher amount of aseptics. The fact is the full carton recycling facilities can handle aseptics. Mark's facility can handle aseptics. It doesn't, there's no distinction. It may be going to Asia because from a freight standpoint and logistics, that's the best place for it to go.
Mark, you mentioned the material that you're now able to accept had to do with the like the Amazons of the world.
Yes.
Is that correct? Can you further explain that, what you're talking about?
Yeah, no problem. So the label machines, release liner, the label, silicone release liner that puts the labels on your Amazon boxes, your Best Buy boxes, your Target boxes, Walmart.com. Again, this is new to us, which is basically the same subject 4 years ago, the 52 bale was to us. And over time of that 4 years, I know, Jason and I can almost feel every bale that has come in to our facilities, but how much that's increased over time. So what I'm trying to say is if you have a DC distribution center of any of those types of companies, I have a little knowledge of the area. Dollar Tree has a big distribution center in Hamburg off 60 and Route 60 and 78 or 81, etc. Those kinds of places, they are desperate. Those companies are desperate to find answers to recycle that product, not put it in the ground. You can imagine from their vantage point and their speaking to customers, they don't want to say that those label wraps are being thrown in the ground. Again, we are on the ahead part of this, but our facilities, both facilities, can take those products and renew them.
So this is a waste product from the labeling process.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I'm just trying to get a picture of what that actually looks like.
Yeah, so it rolls up as it's flying along, as the boxes are flying through. When it comes apart, the label goes on the box. There's the silicone release. Yeah, the backing rolls up. Right. They have no place to put it. I was just at Westpac in Anaheim, California, a week and a half ago, and there is very few people that have an answer for that. We do. And again, it's at the beginning stages of this. But again, we try to provide ourselves to be an end market for new and continuous materials to recycle.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this person lives in New England, a New England city, has a long-standing and highly regarded recycling program. For the past year and a half, or past 1 to 2 years, they have been telling residents to trash the paper/juice cartons, even though they have a state-of-the-art equipment at our MRF. Much of it reaction to the China market disappearing. Do you see this changing as MRFs find outlets for the materials that you're telling us about?
I would say this, I sure hope so. That's our goal, and that's what we're committed to do. The reason we're working with end markets is to make sure there's pull. And I think with the addition of the new facility in Connecticut and the Sustana's facility up in Quebec, you create more pull. I think that does create more interest from those MRFs to be able to sort the cartons into grade 52.
Okay. What happens to the compostable containers that end up in the recycling streams?
For us, they can be washed, they'll wash out of the system. I mean,
right, it's residue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If it's not already sorted out at the MRF, it's not a recyclable material, it's compostable.
Right.
I guess it comes down to educating the public to, divert that material to a composting facility, or have the municipality do the same thing.
Yeah, Wayne, that's a big topic, right? Obviously, there's so many ways we can take this, and it's the design for second life, compostability. Once you have something compostable, I mean, is actually compostable at a industrial composting facility, or is it compostable? Is it biodegradable? There's so many levels of this. I would say that the future definitely part of the packaging has to go that way. We need to design more packages that are compostable. You do have some of the plastics, like the PLA, that they claim they're uncompostable. They don't work in industrial composters quite yet. I can tell you that if those make it to our facility, actually the thermoplastic properties of that packaging still work in our system. Typically, you would not see a large volume of this, so it would just blend in, and you wouldn't even be able to see any difference in properties of the board. But again, this is a very complex question that you should probably have another webinar for that one.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, we have had some webinars on compostable plastics and compostable products. So yeah, that is definitely a topic that we do address. So this question is for Mark. Do you attribute the high volume of recovered aseptics and cartons in Canadian provinces to EPR, the Extended Producer Responsibility laws? That is policy and law in Canada. And please discuss this and the lack of recycling collection and processing of cartons here in the US.
Yeah, another good question, Lindsay. I would actually, for our facility, and again, Carton Council was very involved with that, Carton Council Canada. We had to figure out how to run it first to be an end market. So with EPR, with not EPR, with law, not law, etc. I think it's a more of a situation for us, is we had to figure out how to be the end market for that product in Canada and figure out how to run it. And we have some very talented people internally that, again, 4 years ago, I can't highlight any louder. We ran 1 ton a day barely of 52 bales at Breakyville. We're going to run 3,000 tons this year, and with a new equipment purchase, even more so next year. So yes, EPR, I guess, has a part of it in Canada, but we're trying to do the right thing and, again, find new life for these materials.
Okay, this question is regarding the pulp, the percentage of pulp used versus making products such as the board that are shown in the video. And also, what is the cost for the board made of the recycled material versus the other products?
Maybe Jan, let me handle the first piece and you do the second piece. But the first piece, if I read it right, I would say that right now, the majority of cartons that are being recycled are going into some sort of pulping process. That full carton technology is a newer technology and a growing technology, but the vast majority is going into the pulping process. But yeah, onto the second part of that on the board.
Yeah, the board obviously takes 100% of the package, so 100% yields from that. When it comes to cost of the board, we're proud of the fact that we are at or below the cost of traditional products. So right now, I don't know where the prices are today, with the crisis and supply of construction materials. I mean, everything else skyrocketed. Even before that happened, we were at price parity. So thinking one 4x8 sheet would be, $15-16 a piece. So nothing that should scare you away from trying this new material.
It's like a sheet of plywood.
Exactly.
Well, before COVID.
Yes.
It's up in the 70s now, I understand, but it is coming down a little bit. Here's a good question. Currently, the number 52 bale is not published in the yellow sheet or recyclingmarkets.net secondary fiber pricing. What's prohibiting this grade from being published?
On the yellow sheet, I don't know the answer because I don't know how that works. But I do know on recyclingmarkets.net, it's a question of getting the proper amount of responses. And that would be either from MRFs or paper mills who would give them the information. So we've frequently provided contacts for the folks there to reach out, and we just, at that point, it's for them to handle. So I don't know if they're able to get enough responses or what the challenge is.
Okay. What is the How to Recycle program's designation for gable top cartons? How can we encourage consumers to recycle cartons more without widely recycled How to Recycle label?
The How to Recycling designation for cartons for both aseptic and gable top is widely recyclable right now. And we whatever we can do, and we try to work with our customers, and we try to do outreach to get people to know this. So we're very engaged as part of what we're trying to drive with outreach.
Here's a specific question. Do you know if West Rock in Chattanooga, Tennessee is sending 52 bales to anyone? Where would be the nearest end market for cartons coming out of Chattanooga, Tennessee?
So I don't know if they are or not. I don't know what they're doing at that facility offhand. It would be something that we would need to check. Chattanooga would offer probably back up to the Midwest. You'll see some pull going into Michigan, for example, or even into the facility in Connecticut. They're able to use it. We are, and I know there's a question down below, and I'll answer it as I answer this. The question was, there's a lot of capacity in the Northeast. What about the South? And we are working on something. In fact, we believe that there should be something to talk about in the Southeast very, very soon.
There's another one from Lindsay. Emmett County Recycling is a direct mail in partner with the Carton Council. Residents from all over the country mail box cartons and aseptics to our dual stream MRF facility. Our recycling processing crew is amazed that people will pay postage upwards of $40 to have the ability to recycle their cartons. There is demand for sure.
Yep.
We're seeing this in other products, by the way. Sorry, Jason.
No, go.
We have a national retailer, huge name, not the biggest, say, footprint, huge name, and they are mailing in all of their office waste, label, release label, etc., from each and every one of their stores to be zero waste at their stores. And it's a mail-in program to a secondary recycler that we use in the Chicago area. There is a demand there. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and what I'll add to that, what we've seen is there are some parts of the country, where it could be more rural and things like that, where simply having the capacity to either have normal curbside collection or even drop off becomes a challenge, and people want to recycle their products. So we found that this works for some folks, and they do absolutely do it.
Okay. This question is the grade 52 bales that are originating from California, do they get exported to Mexico?
Yes, right now, actually, most of the bales being made in California are going into Mexico. The facilities in Mexico that make tissue, the Kimberly-Clark mills are fond of the material. For them, it works just as it does, just as office waste would that comes from California as well. That's the answer.
Okay. This question, they're asking for the names of your prospects. I don't know if you can release that, but
I can't give names, but I would say this. It's a combination. I think Jan showed some too. I think some of the prospects are full carton, and I know some of them are also pulping facilities. So we're not looking at just one solution to work with. We would like a variety.
This is a question for Lindsay, but she's, they want to know what are the carbon emissions from the mailing, trucking, waste paper from around the country. So yeah. This is an internal conversation. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't know.
Yeah.
For the potential markets on the map, such as Colorado, what will help a facility open? I know that a site has been under consideration for years. So the mountain states, that's always been an issue with the markets.
Yeah, and we were so close a few years back. It's a matter of prioritization. Colorado being one of the smaller markets, unfortunately, it's been getting pushed back a little bit. But it's the way I see it. It's going to be one of the next two or three facilities open. It's definitely time, and strategically, it's a good location. I would like to see it there within the next 2 to 3 years for sure.
Yeah, there's a question here. What's the carbon footprint for the mail-in programs? I'm sure it's higher than.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Bulk. Yeah.
When there is no answers, and people want to do this, companies want to do this. I think there's a whole lot worse things to do with fiber that can be recovered. Self-interested there, but I think it's good to renew fiber when we can.
Yep. You might have answered this already. How are you helping MRFs develop their systems that can handle the volatility and the value of the number 52 bale?
So first of all, we're working on end markets, which should hopefully do that. As that grows, I think that takes some of the volatility out. And I think what we also are working on, well, I know what we're also working on, is as we work with MRFs, and if we're able to make grants available by helping the ability to sort and bale more, make it more efficient, that also takes some of the cost out of the system. But again, connecting the MRFs with, we try to connect them with the best people that can move the material. And we too want to see the markets be as stable as possible.
Yep. Okay. All right. That's the end of the question. So thank you for the audience for those are great questions, and thank you for the responses. Jason, we come a long way. It's been 4 years since you last did your last update, and it's a considerable improvement in 4 years. So my hat's off to you and all the folks that you work with to make this a success. I know I live in Pennsylvania, so the nearby MRF was a partner with you guys, and they're now taking cartons and doing a great job and getting that from the landfill. So great job, everybody. We're going to close up. Again, this webinar, like all the webinars in this series, has been recorded and will be made available via YouTube links on both the National Recycling Coalition and Recycling Market Center websites. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope you'll join us for next month's webinar. Please visit the NRC and RMC websites for schedule updates. Thank you, Mark, Jason, and Jan for taking time out to do this. Great information, great presentation. So maybe we can do this again in maybe a year or two down the road. Have another good update. So, okay. So have a great day, everybody. And
thanks, Wayne.
Stay safe and good night, Jan.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good one.